Cure him if you're so smart. Millionaire mocked her. Seconds later, he got the shock of his life. It was a late September afternoon, and the city buzzed in its usual rhythm. The hum of traffic, distant sirens, and the golden sun slipping behind rooftops painted the day in shades of tension and fatigue. In a quiet stretch of Lincoln Park, a boy sat in a wheelchair, shoulders hunched, fingers tight on the armrests. His name was Eli Weston, 6 years old. His small frame looked even smaller under the weight of silence. The inflammation that attacked his spine months ago left him immobile from the waist down. But what devastated him more wasn't the diagnosis. It was the way life retreated. Friends stopped visiting. Therapists came and left with clipboards full of charts and no answers. He didn't cry anymore. He just watched the ground. Then came Raina. She was his age or close, black, dressed in an oversized paint-stained shirt and old jeans. Her hair puffed in uneven twin buns. Around her neck, a cheap plastic stethoscope dangling like a forgotten costume accessory. Ray said nothing at first. She just walked up and dropped into a squat in front of him, resting her chin on her hand like she was deciding what kind of book he might be. Eli blinked at her, unsure. Still, she didn't move, just watched him calm, patient. Eventually, a sharp-voiced man stormed up behind her. His tailored suit was spotless. His watch cost more than most cars, and his face wore a permanent scowl. Julian Weston, Eli's father, a millionaire. Used to control, used to results. "Who are you?" he demanded, looking down at Raina. Ray didn't even blink. "Talking to him?" "To my son." Julian's eyes narrowed. Raina nodded, still staring at Eli. "He's sad." Julian crossed his arms, impatient. "And you're going to fix him with that plastic stethoscope?" Her voice was steady. "Number, I'm not here to fix him. I'm here to sit with him." Julian laughed dryly. "We've paid people from 5 countries to sit with him. Ivy League therapy, military robotics. He's not going to walk. He won't even try. So unless you're a miracle." "I'm not," she interrupted. "But maybe he doesn't need one. Maybe he just needs someone who's not waiting for him to fail." Julian blinked, stunned by the audacity. Then he said, "Cure him if you're so smart." Raina didn't stop. She turned her eyes back to Eli. "I used to need a walker," she said softly. "Fell all the time. People stopped inviting me places." Eli stirred. "I hated therapy too. I cried more than I walked. I got sick of everyone watching." Her voice dipped low, waiting for me to fall so they could feel right. Eli's eyes, glassy, finally lifted to meet hers. Raina gave a small nod. "So I stopped walking for them. Started walking for me." Julian tried again. "You don't understand the pressure. Insurance, appointments, time." "I understand being a kid," she snapped. "He's not a case file. He's a person. Maybe let him be that first." Julian had nothing to say. Raina reached into her pocket and pulled out a frayed hospital lanyard. The lettering was faded. The badge inside cracked with age. "My mom gave me this when I stopped needing my walker. I carried it every day to remember how far I came." She placed it gently in Eli's lap. "I don't need it anymore." Then she stood pointed at a bench across the sidewalk. "I'll be over there. You don't have to talk. You don't have to move. But if you want to try, I'll be here." Raina walked away. Julian remained frozen, the words, "Cure him if you're so smart," still echoing in his head like a bad joke. Because in the span of 5 minutes, the girl he mocked had done something no professional could. She made Eli look up, and for the first time in months, he wasn't looking at the ground. He was looking at hope. Julian Weston remained frozen. Jaw tight, arms crossed, watching from behind the oak tree lining the edge of the sidewalk. From where he stood, he could still hear the girl's voice echo faintly, steady, sure, as if the wind itself respected her presence. Ray had taken a seat on the nearby bench, her feet swinging just slightly above the ground. She didn't look back at Julian, didn't gloat, didn't even try to see if Eli had followed her gaze. She just waited. The way someone waits when they believe time is part of healing. Eli still clutched the frayed lanyard in his hand. For a few seconds, he just stared at it. Then at his lap, then at the girl. His fingers trembled as he reached for his wheels, pulled one arm backward, then the other. The wheelchair inched forward. Julian stepped from behind the tree. His lips parted, instinct forcing a protest. "Eli, don't." But he stopped himself because what he saw next wasn't a boy in a chair. It was his son choosing something. Eli rolled forward on his own. Halfway to the bench, he paused. Raina didn't react. Eli looked down at the wheels. His fingers twitched. Slowly, nervously, he pushed the footrests aside and planted his feet to the ground. His left leg shook violently. Julian's throat closed. Eli looked up, scared. But Raina didn't move. She didn't help. She didn't cheer. She believed. With one trembling hand on the armrest and the other still clutching her hospital lanyard, Eli pushed. The foot shifted, his right knee locked. He wobbled. Julian flinched, stepping forward instinctively, but stopped. Eli's jaw was clenched now. A tear rolled down his cheek, but his eyes were locked on Ray, and she was smiling, not with triumph, with recognition. He shifted again, a full step, then another. A gasp came from a woman walking her dog nearby. The dog even paused. Julian's heart was in his throat. His palms were slick with sweat. He had seen doctors poke, scan, probe, inject. He had seen charts, electrodes, brain scans. He had sat through 27 clinical consultations. But he had never seen this. His son, wobbling forward 3 steps now, knees shaken, arms out, was doing what no specialist could will him to do. The 4th step buckled. Eli faltered forward. Julian lunged, ready to catch, but Raina was already there, hands out, soft and steady. Eli collapsed into her, and she caught him like she knew exactly how it would happen. Neither of them said anything. They sat together in the grass. Raina gently helped him sit upright. Eli, red-faced and breathless, let out a sound Julian hadn't heard in a year. A laugh. A real one. Quiet, shy, but free. Raina looked up. Her eyes met Julian's for the first time. He stood like a statue in his custom-cut suit. $3,000 loafers digging into the dirt, briefcase still slung over his shoulder. He looked every bit the man who controlled the stock market. But in that moment, he had never looked more lost. "Did you see that?" Ray asked calmly. Julian nodded, eyes wet, breath caught. "That's what happens," she said softly, "when you stop trying to fix kids like broken gadgets and just believe they can grow." He didn't respond. He couldn't because everything he thought he knew about money control solutions had shattered. His son had taken 4 steps for a girl with a toy stethoscope and no credentials. A girl in paint-stained clothes. A girl who never once told him what to do, only reminded him he could. He walked forward slowly, kneeling beside them. "Eli," he said, voice trembling. "Buddy." Eli looked up at him, then without warning, leaned into his father's chest. Julian wrapped his arms around him so fast it startled them both. "I'm proud of you," he whispered into his son's hair. "I'm so proud of you." Raina sat beside them quietly, a small smile on her lips. Julian turned toward her, tears falling freely now. "I don't know who you are, but thank you." She shrugged. "I'm just someone who remembers what it felt like." He opened his mouth to say more, but stopped because really there was nothing left to say. He had mocked her. And seconds later, he watched his son walk. Not because of science, not because of breakthroughs, but because of belief not hers, his own. Born in a child, reawakened by a stranger. In that small city park, under the weight of gold sunlight and years of buried pain, something changed. And this time it wasn't science, it was heart. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more emotional, dramatic, and unexpected tales. And let us know in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? We love hearing from all of you. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and keep watching.